Hello, everybody. All right, welcome to the Mikestand. Today is Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025. So of course we're going to give it a few minutes to see, give people a chance to come in before we get started. So hopefully everybody's having a good week thus far, as we're into the last like 10 days, inside the last 9 days here or so of um of April here. Um, oh, hope everybody had a good Easter over the weekend and all that. Anyways, let me just do something here. Let's see if I can drum up a few more viewers for the show tonight before we get started. Of course, a friendly reminder to everybody, if you haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I will try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Let's see. I think we're done with that. Anyways. All right, so let's see, 2.5 minutes here. So, watch a cute little Betty Boop cartoon earlier, in which Pudgy was trying to. She's sitting there training pigeons, and Pudgy's trying to help her capture or rein in some of the pigeons getting away. Let's see. Another cartoon I watched was the first Donald Duck feature cartoon. Technically, it was still part of the Mickey Mouse short series, but Donald and Pluto. Mickey didn't actually make an appearance in it, but it was the start, I believe, of the Donald Duck series of shorts. Um, getting into September of 1936 in terms of the cartoon watching. So, well, we're past the 3 minute mark now, so I guess I'll go ahead and talk about what's on tap for tonight. So, tonight we're going to go over a couple of comics related articles from Bleeding Fool, Bleeding Fool. One of them is talking about Kickstarter canceled Don Simpson's Megaton Man over Iranian artist involvement, and then also Zack Snyder's next Rebel Moon comic to be written by Gail Simone. So those are the two articles we're going to look at. Plus, of course, we have the wrestling wrap up tonight. Just some more WWE news. I know I didn't talk much about what was going to happen on last night's Raw. Preview that, but we'll look back to last night's Raw, the Raw after WrestleMania, of course. See what happened. Some big news happened on there, some debuts and all that. We'll look ahead to tonight's NXT, and then we'll finish things off by that was a wrestling round, and then we'll finish things off with talking about what happened on this date in each history. So, with that being said, then let's go ahead now and get started. Let's get over to the first article we're going to look at. Kickstarter cancels Don Simpson's Megaton Man over Iranian artist involvement. Article by Chris Braley, published April 21st, which was yesterday. Multi mentions. All right. Kind of it looks like a very interesting comic there. Bizarre Heroes. So, Kickstarter is facing backlash once again from comic creators. Okay. Oh, by the way, let me hold on. I forget. Yeah, we did say it was Chris Braley who was doing this one, right? Yeah, yes, we did. All right. All right. Kickstarter is facing backlash once again from comic creators after abruptly suspending another major product, raising concerns about unfair censorship and unclear rules. The latest incident involves Don Simpson, creator of the cult classic Megaton Man, whose anniversary anthology was blocked mere hours before its announced launch because one contributor lives in Iran. Lives in Iran. That doesn't necessarily mean that he is Iranian, though. Let's see. Let's see what happens here. So Simpson's Megaton Man multi-mentions a 214-page book with 60 artists, including Alan Davis of X-Men fame and Stephen Bissette of Swamp Thing, was flagged by Kickstarter's quote safety and trust unquote team on April 17th. The reason? Contributor Milo Trent, who lives in Iran, drew 4 pagers. Milo Trent. That doesn't actually sound like an Iranian name. Sounds simply like somebody just happens to live in Iran. Doesn't necessarily mean he's Iranian, first off. But even if that was the case, so what? And then they show the, I guess, note they got. So this is the note that they, so let's see. Let's see. In an email to his team, Simpson wrote, oh, okay, so this, I guess this is the Kickstarter email that was sent to them Pacific Daylight Time, I guess. Hi, Eli. Thanks for sharing your project with us. We've taken a look, and unfortunately, we're unable to approve your project to launch based on a combination of local regulatory requirements and other pertinent factors. Looks like you've got an interesting idea for a project, but we can't play a part in helping you bring it to life. This is not a decision we're able to review further, and this project can no longer be submitted for review. Please refer to our terms of services. Quote, we have the right to reject, cancel, interrupt, remove, or suspend any project at any time and for any reason, unquote. We wish you the absolute best of luck with this endeavor and hope you'll otherwise remain a part of our create. Yeah, right. When you pull that kind of stuff, yeah. I mean, and well, we'll get more into that, I'm sure, in a moment because Chris, I know has something. I know Chris has more to say on it. So, of course, this is Chris making a quick little statement here before he gets into. So, in an email to his team, Simpson wrote, last night, Kickstarter suspended the launch of our campaign for Megaton Man Multi-Mentions, a 214-page treasury-sized anthology of 60 contributors, flagging it for quote-unquote safety and trust, because one of our contributors happens to live in Iran. Let's see. I am not groveling to Kickstarter or its algorithm. Kickstarter is not a co-editor or creative consultant on this project. Milo Trent is on the cover of Megaton Man Multi-Mention and has 4 brilliant pages out of 214 brilliant pages. And I'm not removing them. I spent all of 2024, part of it living on savings to shepherd a project that was left for dead, turning it into an anthology of contemporary world-class cartoonists, of which we can all be proud. Kickstarter needs to explain to me why I would still want to work with them or trust them. Kickstarter is censoring this project, and every creative artist contemplating working with them, filmmaker, comic book publisher, or otherwise, needs to understand this. Mhm. So then, back to Chris here. The publisher, Cosmic Lion Productions, called the suspension, quote, nonsensical, unquote, adding, quote, our biggest fault was being proud of our diverse, world-spanning creative team, unquote. So I guess this is a little, I guess, so Meteoric Milo is an industrial designer by profession and has been making comics on the side since he knew how to hold a pencil. Located in Iran, where comics and almost any American media are non existent, the story of how Milo found comics and his lifelong quest of treasure hunting for them is a long story for another day. Suffice it to say, after making them for 12 years, Milo bowed out and tried to conform to his society until one fateful day. I guess he was raised in Iran. Okay. One fateful day in 2020, he discovered cartoonist kayfabe. Forever changed, Milo's forever changed. Milo's been making comics ever since. Welcomed into the Facebook group CKRS, Milo has collaborated and with various talents in the creative community and been published. With the support of his girlfriend Hannah, whom he thinks of every time he puts pencil to paper, Milo has not looked back. His work has appeared in Darkest Image, Volumes 1 and 2, Cybrid and Kirby, The Death of Superman fanfic, Batman Year What, 100% Comics, Big Bang and Death Slinger, Cosmic Lion Production, and Banana Conspiracies and Giant Size 63 forthcoming. Kickstarter's pattern is censorship. So this is, I guess, Chris talking again here. This isn't the first time Kickstarter has pulled projects after approval. Eisner-winning comic creator Mike Baron, The Punisher, and we probably know about where they're going with this. In parentheses, The Punisher, Star Wars, and Nexus, had his graphic novel, Private American, about a vigilante fighting border cartels, canceled in 2022, despite raising 10 times its goal over bizarre claims of, quote, stochastic terrorism. In other words, if you guys remember, the reason they pulled Private American, because they basically were trying to make the argument that Mike Baron was trying to promote terrorism acts, or trying to say that by going after the cartels, then you're the terrorist. That's what all that was. Kickstarter claimed it bans quote-unquote intolerance, but Simpson argued the platform is punishing artists for their collaborators' nationalities. Which, if anything, it's kind of funny. It's an old Saul Alinsky trick, right? Look in the mirror, look at all the evil you do, and then point to the other guy and say that they do it. Quote, Kickstarter needs to explain why I'd still want to work with them. They're conducting foreign policy they're not qualified to handle, unquote. Simpson demanded Kickstarter reverse its decision, writing, quote, do you have any idea how stupid you look to the comics community, unquote. but the platform still hasn't explained why Trent's residency triggered a ban or how creators can avoid similar issues. Well, here's an idea. Just don't just don't do business with them anymore, as somebody put it. So Kickstarter Trust and Safety, April 17, 2025, which was 5 days ago, last Thursday, basically, I guess, when this all came about. 7:13 Eastern or 4:30 Pacific. Hi there. This is a message from Kickstarter Trust and Safety. Thank you for sharing your Megaton Man Multi-Mentions project with us as part of our standard review process. You need to provide some additional information and documentation regarding your project. Can you please respond to this message clarifying the following? What is the nature of your engagement with individuals in Iran, if any? What is the nature of your engagement with entities in Iran, if any? Why does that make it? And I would agree there. Why would that make any difference? In order to avoid delays and get this review resolved quickly, please respond within 10 business days. If we do not receive a response during this period, we will regretfully decline your project. Let us know if you have any questions regards Kickstarter Trust. So this is what was probably sent to. That letter was probably sent to Don Simpson, in regards to that. So let's see. And if you haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So now, let's see. Continuing on here, and this is back to Chris here. This exodus has fueled the rise of websites like Fund My Comic, a new crowdfunding platform explicitly launched to counter restrictive content moderation, emphasizing free expression and lower fees. Founded by Luke Stone, Fund My Comic charges only a 3% platform fee, undercutting Kickstarter's 5%, and prioritizes creator autonomy, offering features like daily payouts and flexible campaign terms to empower artists sidelined by opaque bans. The platform has rapidly gained traction among creators alienated by Kickstarter's handling of projects like Megaton Man, Multi-Mentions, and Private American, positioning itself as a censorship-resistant alternative in a shifting crowdfunding landscape. Yeah, and eventually Kickstarter and maybe Indiegogo will learn soon enough if enough people go over to places like Fund My Comic as an alternative. The Don Simpson controversy underscores a growing crisis in creative crowdfunding, where opaque policies and geopolitical anxieties are alienating veteran creators, while platforms like Fund My Comic have emerged to champion artistic freedom against what many now see as Kickstarter's arbitrary censorship. Basically, what you do here, people, is when one company decides that they're going to just try to clamp down on you, just find another company that won't clamp down on you. Take your business elsewhere. Eventually, they'll come to their senses, hopefully, and I guess retract their policies, as it were. Let me see. Let me see if I can. Let's see now. See if I can. Anybody here that? All right, so now that we checked that. All right, so now let's see. Let's get ready to move on to the next piece of niche history here. Or I'm sorry, not the next. Let's move on to the next article. I mean, the next article, probably the last article we'll do tonight. All right, Zack Snyder's next Rebel Moon comic to be written by Gail Simone, article by Avi Green, published April 22nd, 2025, which of course is today. So let's take a look at this. All right, so Variety announced that filmmaker Zack Snyder's recent film project, Rebel Moon, is going to receive a prequel comic written by the overrated leftist Gail Simone. And of course, you guys have read Avi's articles with me enough to where you know that he's got quite a few opinions on the left, to say the least. Many of which some of us here share, but anyways, Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon space opera is getting a comic book prequel series based on the original origin story of one of its characters. Quote, Rebel Moon Nemesis, in quotes there, from Titan Comics, will delve into the story. Okay, little typo there. Will delve into the story of the Netflix film's cyborg swordmaster, Nemesis, played on screen by Dunabai. From award-winning writer Gail Simone and artist Federico Bertoni, the comic series will take place before Nemesis became a sword-wielding, partly mechanical assassin and is described as an quote action-packed and badass story, BA story, in the style of a revenge western, in which an innocent woman finds herself in the path of Imperium soldiers who slaughter her family. Unquote. Let's see. Um, this is Avi's response to that. This sounds vaguely like the premise of the Conan spin-off character Red Sonja's origins, and Simone was one of the assigned writers of that character in the past. But she's so leftist and even woke in her own way that it's just not worth the effort. And what's to be said of Snyder's choices for comic writers? The last one was a mentally ill man going by the name of Magdalene, not to mention his absolute disrespect for hardcore fans of his. Besides, this is obviously just another example of a story built upon darkness, and it's getting tiresome coming from Snyder too. Also note that it's another product coming from PC influenced Netflix, and that can also say all you need to know. What a ripoff this can be. All right then. Let's see now. So 23 minutes. So I guess why don't we go ahead and see if we can find another. See what we might be able to find. Maybe I can. I guess can try to get one more story in if there's a quickie somewhere. Well, let's see. We'll check out. First off, go over to that park place and see if there's any over there that might be of some interest. Leftover students. Hmm. Right, movie. Let's see. All right, so let's see. I'll just go over here and check these things out. All right, so let's see. Let's see now. Let's see. All right. Let's look over to Me TV then. See if there's any new interesting articles there. Me TV Tunes, that is. Oh, okay. We got a couple of interesting articles here. All right. Oh, here we go. Let's take a look at this. Make what? Let's see. Yeah, sometimes you go looking and you'll find something. Usually, Mae Quetzal revealed why she stepped in to play Popeye. Well, blow me down. Oh yeah, I believe this is around the time that Jack Mercer had got drafted into the army. It was like 45, 46 around there, where they had actually used a few other people too, but it's probably around the time that Jack Mercer basically went to serve in the military. All right, so let's see. So Mae Quetzal revealed why she stepped in to play Popeye. Well, blow me down. Article posted on April 21st, 2025 by MeTV Toon staff. So let's take a look at this. So when Jack Mercer, the voice actor of Popeye, was drafted into World War II, Fleischer Studios needed a temporary substitute to step in for the Spanish-loving sailor's shoes. Actually, though, I think the thing was though is that if I recall correctly, by the time he was actually drafted into actually Famous Studios had actually already taken over producing Popeye. But anyways, according to Mae Quetzal, the original plan was to hire another actor as a substitute until Mercer returned from the war. In a 1978 late-night interview, Quetzal revealed, quote, now this man had been on the stage, and he had all the know-how. He had the voice. He got mic fright, which is a terrible thing. Here we are at RCA Studios trying, to get through with the cartoon. So I stepped in, and of course, the engineer did a little engineering, but I sounded like, quote, wow, blow me down, unquote. So I guess they were able to get somebody in there, but they basically got stage fright, and May had to come in for him. While it was unfortunate that the still unnamed actor had mic fright, Quetzal's improvisational background showed Max Fleischer that they could still make Popeye cartoons with the voice actors they already had. Quetzal said she voiced Popeye for about 10 cartoons. For Quetzal's performances, she stuck to Popeye's usual phrases like blow me down and shiver me timbers. At this point, she and Mercer had recorded over 40 Popeye cartoons together, and she knew his cadence and style well enough that with a little audio editing, she sounded good enough to keep the cartoons going. Later, they brought in reinforcements from the world of radio. Floyd Buckley, who had voiced Popeye on the radio show, and Harry Welch, who filled in for one cartoon. Welch then assisted with live performances and recording Popeye records. He also occasionally filled in after the war whenever Mercer was unavailable. Quetzal explained that the editing process was fairly simple, despite this being very early on in cartoons audio recording. Quote, we just lowered the pitch a little bit, but let's face it, it wasn't that good. Cartoon fans, judge for yourself. Quetzal voiced Popeye in Shape Ahoy, quote unquote. Watch Popeye and Pals on MeTV Tuned weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 Central, 10 a.m. Pacific. All right, and we will. There's one more cartoon, one more article we can probably look at quick. These MeTV cartoons or MeTV Tunes articles are usually pretty quick here. June Foray's journey to Jokey Smurf. June Foray belonged in Smurf Village, not as Smurfette. Of course, Smurfette was voiced by the late great Lucille Bliss in that regard. Article posted April 21st, 2025 by MeTV Toon staff. So, here we go. June Foray was everywhere in the golden age of animation. As one of the first leading female voice actors, she was a founding figure in Looney Tunes shorts, Hanna-Barbera cartoons, and original Disney movies. Among other shows and movies, in 1980, she was a seasoned A-lister in the cartoon world, and a new show called The Smurfs needed her talent. Gordon Hunt, a cartoon director known for his work on the Scooby-Doo franchise, in parentheses, and also Helen Hunt's father, unparentheses, as well as the husband of B.J. Ward, another well-known voice actors from the 80s and 90s. Asked for Ray to audition for the Smurfs, specifically for Smurfette. Smurfette was the only female character on the show, so when Foray didn't get the role, she assumed she was done with the show. While not getting the role of Smurfette was a letdown, for Foray, Hunt still knew she belonged in the cast. Hunt asked her to audition for some of the other Smurfs, and Foray responded, quote, but they're men. According to Foray, Hunt said, quote, well, just use a funny little voice. They're only 3 apples high, and they're blue. So who knows what they sound like, unquote. It's true enough, and, and it would have worked out because, of course, Foray had done, pre-puberty, which is a common practice in voice acting, right? Usually when they're wanting to do, like young boy character, prepubescent boy characters whose voices haven't broken yet. Hey, if it shows up, how you doing, my friend? Thanks for popping in. If you haven't already, if you can help out by trying to like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, continuing on with my commentary here on this one. But June Foray, of course, she was actually the first voice of Tweety, I believe, before Mel Blanc eventually took over for that. So she's had some experience doing, but that was definitely a common practice in voice. Still to this day, it's a common practice in voice acting. Anytime you have a prepubescent boy character, you actually bring in a woman to do the voice. So, or any kind of high-pitched creature, like some animals, even boy animals, right? like a boy squirrel or something like that can have a higher pitched. Back to the drawing board, Foray looked at the sketches of the Smurfs and saw Jokey Smurf. Picture of Jokey was him mid-laughter and the word "yuck" unquote next to him. The image and the "yuck" inspired Foray to develop Jokey's laugh, a raspy "yuck, yuck, 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 yuck," which was so good that it ended up getting her the role. Foray voiced Jokey from 1981 to 1989. 8 years there. Watch the Smurfs on MeTV Sundays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 Central to Pacific. All right, so that's all. That's enough of that. What are you talking about? Well, I was talking about. So this article was about June Foray doing Jokey Smurf's voice in the Smurfs. That's what this article was about. And I was talking about, the practice that voice actors do for prepubescent boys. For like when you have young boy characters, or basically, or even like some anthropomorphic animal characters that tend to be younger sounding or smaller animals. They usually will bring in a woman to do those voices. So that's what I was talking about. Hey, Rick, thanks for dropping in. So, anyways, so now with that, we've done all the articles. So I guess what we'll do is we'll get ready to do the wrestling wrap up. And even though I didn't preview it last night, let me talk a little bit about what happened on last night's Raw. It's quite a bit, coming out of WrestleMania. Had quite a few things that happened. The show opened up with John Cena coming out, basically claiming he's going to try to follow up on his threat by basically retiring with the WWE title. Only for Randy Orton to come out and give him an RKO for his trouble. Then, as we get into the matches on the night, the opening match saw for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship, seeing Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez of the Judgment Day regaining the Women's Championship one night after losing it to Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria. After the match, Becky Lynch turned on Valkyria, basically becoming heel. Now, this was somewhat, this kind of what they call hot shot booking, as it were, was a bit criticized. They didn't want to have Becky Lynch lose on her return, so they had her win the match and then turn on, which the plan is possibly to join her husband, Seth Rollins, who turned heel at WrestleMania by joining Paul Heyman. Then the next match saw then the next scheduled match was supposed to be. Well, actually, what happened was that the New Day was out cutting a promo, only for them to be challenged for the WWE World Tag Team Championships by Alpha Academy of Otis and Akira Tozawa. Only for Rusev to make his return to the WWE on Raw here, attacking Alpha Academy to make an impression, locking Otis in his version of the Camel Clutch. He calls the Accolade. Basically making a statement, that he's returned. Then after that, Io Sky was out to cut a promo following her, successful title defense at at WrestleMania the night before, only for her to be confronted or interrupted by NXT Women's Champion Stephanie McMahon coming off of her recent successful title defense at Stand and Deliver on Saturday, claiming she wanted to show respect to Io Sky by challenging her to a match in which prompted a non-title match to take place, for it to only end up in a no contest when Roxanne Perez and Julia both came in and attacked both Sky and Bakur during the match. Then Rhea Ripley coming out to make the save, only for Rhea Ripley to confront Rio, basically to tell her, "Look, I'm coming for your title, so you better be ready." Then the main event saw Dominic Mysterio retain the Intercontinental title over Penta, with help from, of course, the rest of the Judgment Day, from Finn Balor, Carlito, and a returning JD McDonough. Some other happenings that happened on last night's Monday Night Raw included Gunther attacking the announcers. Steamed that he lost the title to Jey Uso. Jey Uso did have a segment last night where he was congratulated, of course, by his brother Jimmy and Sami Zayn for winning the title, winning the world title. And that was all of that for. So that's all that happened on last night's Monday Night Raw. So now, looking ahead to tonight's NXT. Looking ahead to NXT tonight. On tonight's NXT on the CW with Booker T, Vic Joseph, and Corey Graves on commentary from the Blue Live Theater in Las Vegas, Nevada. WWE Women's Tag Team Championship will be on the... Well, hold on a second. I'm going to need to go off camera here for a moment. I'll be right back, but I will put some music on to tell you guys while I'm gone. I'll be right back. Alright, sorry about that. Anyways, back to talking. So on tonight's NXT, of course, coming off, of course, of their regaining of the WWE Women's Tag Team titles and their fourth reign, the start of their fourth reign, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez of the Judgment Day will be defending the titles on NXT tonight against Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley. Lexus King defends the NXT Heritage Cup over former Heritage Cup champion Noam Dar. Miles Bourne and Javon Evans, take on members of the most recently debuted stable Dark State. Which two members are not known yet. And the main event set, Stephanie Vaquer will be defending the NXT Women's Championship against former champion Roxanne Perez. As Roxanne Perez has been kind of going back and forth between NXT and the main roster. So we'll just wait and see on all that. So that's all the wrestling wrap up that the wrestling news we have for you right now on that regard. So now with it being now with today being Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025, let's take a look back at this day in Neat history. So let's see. All right, so first off, heading back 60 years ago, as 60 years ago today, on this date back in 1965, American animator and comic book artist Harvey Eisenberg passed away at the age of 54. Best known for his work with William Hanna and Joseph Barbera for MGM Cartoon Studios as well as Hanna-Barbera Productions. He illustrated a large number of comic book stories and comic strips starring characters like Tom and Jerry, Yogi Bear, Fred the Flintstones, while also working as an animation layout artist and character designer. So on this date, 60 years ago today, animator and comic book artist Harvey Eisenberg passed away at the age of 54. So now moving ahead to 1995, 30 years ago today. On this date, 30 years ago today, Tokyo Movie Shinsha's Tokyo Movie Shinsha's, or TMS as it's known, Lupin TMS's Lupin the Third: Farewell to Nostradamus premiered in Japanese theaters on this date back in 1995. So 30 years ago today, TMS's Lupin the Third: Farewell to Nostradamus premiered in Japanese theaters. Of course, based on the Lupin the Third manga by Monkey Punch and the franchise as a whole. So that happened 30 years ago today, was the premiere of Lupin the Third: Farewell to Nostradamus from TMS. Moving ahead to the year 2000, on this date in the year 2000, in one of their last pay-per-views, ECW held its CyberSlam event from the ECW arena. The show opened up with Masato Tanaka defeating Too Cold Scorpio. In a three-way elimination match, Lil Guido outlasted Kid Cash and Super Crazy, with Super Crazy at first eliminating Kid Cash and Lil Guido eliminating Super Crazy. The New Dangerous Alliance of Bill Wiles and C.W. Anderson, with Elektra and Louis Dangerously in their corner, defeated Danny Doring and Roadkill. Steve Corino, with Jack Victory in his corner, defeated Dusty Rhodes in one of Dusty Rhodes' only appearances in ECW. In a match for the ECW World Television title, Rhino defeated Tajiri to become the ECW Television title. And then we saw two. So coming into the event, Taz, who had recently won the ECW World Heavyweight title from Mike Awesome, defended it at the show against Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Dreamer defeated Taz to become the new ECW World Heavyweight title, and then was subsequently challenged by Just Incredible for it and lost the belt to Just Incredible. So so ECW CyberSlam happened at the ECW Arena on this date back in the year 2000, 25 years ago today. And finally, that was what we were trying for there. And finally, on this day, I believe in the year 2015, 10 years ago today, yep, that's what it was. This day in the year 2015, the 20th issue of Creepy from Dark Horse went on sale on this date back in the year 2015. So $3.99 was 36 pages. So with that, I thank everybody for being here. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Of course, we'll be back here with more Needs News tomorrow. Obviously we'll be looking on the Wrestling Rabbit. We'll be looking back to tonight's NXT matchup. Bye there. We'll be looking back to tonight's NXT as well, looking ahead to tomorrow night's Dynamite, AEW Dynamite. And of course, don't forget this Sunday I'll be joined by Apex from Apex Comics. We'll be looking back to comics that went on sale in May of 1940. This week we'll be looking at comics that went on sale from Fawcett Comics. We'll be looking at, of course, Wiz Comics, and we'll be looking at the first 3 issues of Nickel Comics. I'll explain more of that this Sunday. So with that, I thank everybody for being here, and I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.